Jackson receiving a slight change here from 140 to 145 fuel. Jackson at the moment is probably the premier tank destroyer, very, very strong, causing Axis some real headaches. So just a slight change here, going to be the same fuel cost now as the Firefly that we saw earlier. M8 Scott, this thing's a real headache in team games. Can be very hard to get to the back lines and actually kill this thing. And at the moment its auto fire is just beastly, just wiping out squads with like pot shots from, you know, just outside your range. If you defend it well with a couple of AT guns and a Jackson, this thing is just about near impossible to kill, very frustrating to play against. So moving or nerfing the auto fire, so we'll be firing a little bit more slowly on auto fire, but buffing the barrage, so be able to use the barrage more frequently, and also the smoke barrage. So trying to encourage using this as a barrage unit a little bit more rather than the auto fire. Also some changes to the pack howitzer, similar to the Scott. Pack howitzer auto fire very strong, but in this case the scatter is getting nerfed, so it will be a little bit less accurate as it auto fires at infantry, but the barrage is getting buffed. Slight decrease on the barrage timer, which at the moment is very, very long. May also make the pack howitzer slightly better now at sieging out buildings or emplacements. Mortar half track getting a slight nerf to the white phosphorus. This thing is a real terror in team games. I often see players spamming these and just spamming the white phosphorus barrage. So the damage over time, frequency of that is going down. So standing inside the white phosphorus will do less damage over time. The Pershing receiving some changes on top of going behind major tech like every other heavy tank. Receiving some changes to its health and armor. Armor is going down from 300 to 270, but health is going up from 800 to 960. So this is like one more shot to kill from most vehicles. So the Panther received similar changes to this, except even worse, because I believe that went from 320 armor to 265. So the Pershing going from 300 to 270 is getting a more favorable trade-off than the Panther did, and those Panther changes were pretty welcomely received by the community. And overall, this should mean a pretty good durability buff to the Pershing, which was a very common complaint about it. So it's also receiving AoE changes similar to other heavy tanks. The near and the mid is going down, but the far is going up. So less likely to one-shot squads, but will hit them more reliably. Doesn't really need a scatter change. The scatter on the Pershing is already very strong. So a slight nerf to the Vet3 reload from 50% to 30%. Most other tanks in the game get 30% reload, so this is more of a normalization for the Pershing. So now we're taking a look at the revised AoE on the Pershing at close to max range. Our third health, first shot. Pretty good accuracy so far. And yeah, as you can see there, the Pershing without any scatter change is very accurate and gets the kill in 3 shots. Round 2 because the squad looked a little bit clumped on the replay. One shot, one kill. Pretty rare to see that so far in the testing. So I'm missing the mark there. Still half health after 2 shots. 3 shots now, but the other 2 models looking pretty healthy. Half health, landing directly in the middle of the 2. So I think they were a little bit clumped last time, and this time more on par with what we've seen from the other heavy tanks. And now the Pershing against a clumped up squad close range. Doesn't drop a single model with the first shot, but takes about 3/4 of the squad's health. Misses on the second shot, but even the machine guns here have to dispense with the rest. So yeah, the one-shot kill radius on this seems to be very, very low, but can still do a huge amount of damage in one shot to infantry. Time on target, this is the artillery ability in the infantry commander. Issue with this is about 1/4 of the time on target wouldn't actually kill howitzers, which is one of its main purposes. So the final 3 shells on this no longer scatter, so it should kill a howitzer every single time now, which is a welcome change. Rifle Company, this commander was complained about a lot, so it's receiving a couple buffs. The fire up ability exhaustion debuff is removed, so be more functioning like URA. Flares have been merged with the flamethrower slot, and then rifleman field defenses have been added to this commander. So rifleman will have access to sandbags and the mines. So just a moderate buff to rifle company. Also a slight buff to rifleman field defenses. Rifleman will plant the mines slightly faster, and I guess this change means you can plant the mines with 4 riflemen at one time to speed build them. Some small changes to paratroopers. The paratrooper timed demolition charge is now guaranteed to destroy abandoned team weapons, which is a nice change. Target size is going from 1 to 0.95. So this means once you call in paratroopers, they'll be slightly better straight away. However, that is then being removed from their Vet 3 bonus. So their in-game strength is going to be exactly the same, but they'll be slightly better from Vet 0 to Vet 2. Moving on to Ostheer, Pioneers. Minesweeper upgrade is now going to give 0.3 extra repair speed, similar to what Stern Pioneers get. The Mortar counter barrage, which doesn't get used too often. The range on this is going from 80 to 100, so you should be able to use the Ostheer mortar from a safe range and counter things like the Soviet mortar. Should make this ability a lot stronger overall. The 222 coaxial machine gun on this is getting a small penetration buff to be similar to the 221. So it should be slightly more effective against lightly armored targets and shock troops more specifically. Also some changes to the 251 half track. Sight range on it is going from 35, which is the standard amount of sight for most units, to 42, which is probably the same amount as Pioneers get. So a little bit extra sight range should help you position this more effectively. That sight range is being removed if you decide to upgrade it with the flamethrowers. Infantry squads that are garrisoned inside the half track get healed whilst inside it, which is an interesting ability. And then the sight range doesn't get stacked on top of spotting scopes. So if you upgraded this with spotting scopes, it isn't going to give you crazy amounts of sight. That is getting nerfed if you use spotting scopes, so give you the same amount of sight as spotting scopes do currently. So here's a look at the improved sight range on the 251. As you can see here, spotting units are really far. If we upgrade that with the flame projectors, there's the decrease in sight there. So that is the changes to the 251 in terms of sight. Now, having a look at the 251 in terms of healing, notice that there is an indicator that units inside will be healed. The squad at 3/4 health, we'll chuck them inside. See how fast the healing goes. See the healing in the top right there. Not super fast. Maybe a little bit slower than I was expecting, honestly. Though you can put 2 squads inside this half track, so I suppose you could heal 2 squads at once, but a little bit slower than I was expecting in terms of healing. Panzergrenadier and Stormtrooper G43s, these did receive a few changes, but still underutilized. These are getting buffed. Mid accuracy is going up, far accuracy is going up, cooldown is going down, so they're going to shoot more frequently at far, both in terms of cooldown and aim time, and then cost is going up to 60, I think at the moment it's maybe 45 or 30. So these are going to be a more attractive upgrade, just stronger overall, but slightly more costly. These are very strong, like closing the distance on the move. P-Green and Stormtrooper G43s are quite good. And now some G43 P-Greens versus double bar riflemen.
Enemy forces are securing
At close to max range. So it looks like a moderate edge for the G43 P-Greens at long range. Or did I speak too soon? No. But yeah, a very moderate edge for the G43 P-Greens now at max range. So these squads, more expensive to build, but less expensive to upgrade than a double bar rifle squad. Bunker MG42 upgrade. This is more aimed at team games where bunker spam can be a big issue in the late game. So the sight on them is going down, as you can see in this diagram here. We were previously spotting like 5 range further than the machine gun. So now I'm going to be spotting slightly less than the actual machine gun does. So it should make outmaneuvering bunkers slightly easier in the late game. So Tiger receiving changes similar to the OKW Command Tiger. Command point requirement to 9 requires the final stage of tech to be researched and deployed. AoE changes, far AoE is going up, near AoE going down, so less likely to one-shot wide, but more consistent damage, and veterancy requirements also going down. So now we have the Ostheer Tiger against a 6-man squad at long range. Should be the same as the OKW Command Tiger, but you know, it shakes out. The first projectile looked really weird. Like the Comet projectile looked a little bit weird the other day. Oh, another seat cover. I hope they haven't run out of range. Oh, but the heavy cover blocked a bit of the damage, so they ended up dying. So it does look pretty similar to the Command Tiger that we saw yesterday. And now the Ostheer Tiger against a 6-man clump squad. Way overshot the mark on that first shot. Seems to be missing quite wildly with every shot this time. Finally gets a direct hit on their last hit. And we got pretty bad RNG in that case, but still managed to dispatch the squad pretty quickly thanks to the machine guns, honestly. Spotting scopes. These have proven to be a pretty big issue, especially in team games. Outmaneuvering vehicles with spotting scopes is just such a headache, especially on those narrow maps. So a slight nerf to them. A 1.5 second delay is being added before the bonus sight activates. So it should make like running and gunning worse. Say if you're like chasing down unit previously, you like chase the unit and then stop and you get the bonus sight and then you shoot your shot, then chase them down a little bit and stop. So that kind of running and gunning will be quite a lot worse. Should be specifically worse, I'd say, on the Elephant. The Osttroop supply drop is being buffed slightly. Manpower cost of this is going down from 450 to 400, more in line with the USF Airborne Company style of drop. Panzer IV also going behind tech, requires either tier 3 or tier 4 in order to be called in. Command points at 7. Fuel cost is going down from 125 to 120. I think perhaps it could maybe afford to go down to 110, but let me know what you think in comments. An aura damage reduction modifier from 0.8 to 0.9. This was supposed to have been implemented in a patch maybe about one and a half years ago. So finally getting implemented in this patch. But yeah, I do think this maybe does need a further reduction in fuel cost. Target weak point, a few changes here, mainly around the naming. At the moment there are a lot of abilities called target weak point and they all do different things. So trying to make this a little bit less confusing. So the Stug E and the Stug G are being renamed from target weak point to heat shell. So at the moment these get bonus penetration and turret lock at the moment, instead of like a stun, which is what the other target weak points do. And the Puma, this is the Ostheer Puma in mobile defense, is having its target weak point replaced by the Puma aim shot, the OKW Puma aim shot. Moving on to Soviets, the fuel cost of tier 2 is going down from 20 to 10. This is a change that I don't really feel is necessary personally. I mean, consider if you want to back tech to US forces and get an AT gun, that costs 30 fuel, so 20 fuel already looks fine to me in that department. Also means that, you know, potentially things like the T70 will be hitting the field 10 fuel earlier, which can be a big difference. And typically when going for a tier 2 build, you are going for conscripts, and conscript AT grenade package already went down in the previous patch by 10 fuel, so I just don't really feel like this fuel cost reduction is necessary personally. Maxim, a slight buff to the Maxim here, going to be slightly better at suppressing blobs. The nearby suppression radius is going up, So if there are units clumped together, Maxim will now be able to suppress a bigger area of them, and the nearby suppression is also going up, so it will be able to suppress a larger blob more rapidly. So Maxim getting a couple buffs here. So now we're going to take a look at the improved suppression performance of the Maxim. The squad's, reasonably spread out. I'd say previously the Maxim would definitely have to right click to target each one of these to suppress them. The AoE suppression wouldn't be enough. So we'll see how it gets on this time.
Enemy forces are attempting to capture our territory.
The squad's quite far away, so I'm not anticipating AoE suppression on that and that, but did get AoE suppression on both of these squads. So I've got the whole 3 of these squads suppressed. Does look like to be a moderate improvement there for Maxim. Conscript 7-man upgrade now requires tier 3 and both AT grenades and Molotovs, both of them ticked, or just straight up tier 4. 7-man conscripts. A couple changes here. A lot of complaints that the 7-man upgrade being behind tier 4 is too slow and it's too big of a hurdle. So now requires tier 3 as well as AT grenades and Molotovs. So you need both AT grenades, Molotovs and tier 3 to get access to the 7-man upgrade, or still same as old tier 4. I'm a little bit worried about this, especially coming against Ostheer. Using Molotovs against OKW I generally think is not that strong, and Soviet tier 1 is already so strong against OKW, don't really need to use conscripts. But I feel like this upgrade could be, at this faster timing, a little bit menacing against Ostheer. Combat Engineers receiving a similar change to Pioneers. The Minesweeper upgrade is now giving 0.3 extra repair speed. Not quite as necessary, I don't think, with Soviets, because they have so many commander abilities that give you repair bonuses, such as vehicle crew repairs, conscript repair kits, repair stations. So not 100% necessary, but I suppose evening out between the 2 Eastern Front factions. So now we're going to take a look at the revised Zis Light artillery barrage. Firing this kind of like mid-range, not an absolute max range, but also not too close. It looks like it still will knock out a model here or there in the first shot, but we're near the wiping potential it had previously. Guard Rifle Hit the Dirt ability. Because this is different to Conscript Hit the Dirts, provides different bonuses. A little bit confusing, similar to the target weak point changes, so this is being renamed to firing positions. So there's not so much confusion between these abilities, which do give different bonuses. Conscript Assault Package. This is the PPSH upgrade for conscripts. That's going to be changed from 3 command points to 2, so you'll be able to get them a little bit earlier. I like PPSH conscripts, and honestly this might actually be really strong, because sometimes I do find myself like, oh man, I really wish I could upgrade PPSHs right now, and they're coming like slightly too late. But this upgrade is actually really, really strong, so people might be sleeping on these PPSH conscripts. Shock troops, a very slight nerf to them. At the moment they're very, very popular in the 1v1 meta, very, very strong. So a slight nerf to their grenade timings. The cooldown is going from 20 to 28 because they do have a v1 bonus that improves their grenade cooldown, so they were just kind of spamming grenades, smoking frags. It was very hard to deal with shock troops. KV1, some moderate changes to the KV1 here. The v1 is going to be a hull down mode. Hull down grants 15% reload time, so slight rate of fire bonus, and 20% received damage, which is pretty big. KV1 already pretty durable. And increased performance on the hull and the coaxial machine guns to match that of the T-34-76. So overall, I think the KV1 is going to be a beast in this patch. Really, really strong. I'm maybe a little bit worried about this received damage change. So here we're taking a look at the KV1's new vet ability, Hull Down. We get some sandbags around there. Oh, it kind of sinks into the ground. That's interesting. So in this mode, it takes reduced damage. So we're going to have a duel against a Panther here. Mid-range. See how long the KV can last. Well, I think the KV ran really good there, penetrating at a much higher rate than it usually would, but my word, it takes a hell of a beating. I think it took 5 or 6 penetrating shots there, still about a third health. So yeah, that is the new KV1 V1 ability. It looks really strong. Some changes here to the IS-2, on top of it going behind tech. So it is going behind tech, command points to call it in at 10. Scatter is going down. IS-2, always known as a wild child, huge scatter on its gun, just super unreliable at hitting stuff, similar to the King Tongue I would say at the moment. So scatter is going down, so it should be more reliable when shooting at infantry. AoE is going up, but once again the one-shot kill radius is going down. So it's going to be more reliable against infantry, but less likely to get those instant wipes. And now a new VET1 ability, Fragmentation Shell, which replaces the secure mode. Range 40. 45 munitions. Big AoE of 8. Decent AoE damage scaling. Deals 120 damage. Deals many stun criticals to vehicles on hit or deflection. So exciting new stuff for the IS-2, new VET ability, but won't be able to go for those late game secure mode wins in those dire VP scenarios. So here's the revised IS-2 at close to max range against a spread out 5-man Panzergrenadier squad. Oof. Bad start. Oh no, oh no. Oh, this is not going well at all. 3 in a row. Okay, there we go. Pretty good hit. About almost half health with that one shot. Chipping in there, hitting another model. Finally getting some business done. Okay, so 3 in a row. After 3 misses in a row, we've got 3 hits in a row. So after a bad start, you know, a lot of misses at the early stage, pretty accurate on the home straight, but still not that impressive in terms of overall killing power, I would say. And now the IS-2 against a clumped up squad. Not quite a direct hit, landed a little bit short, does about a third of the squad's health. Second shot, pretty good follow up. 3 shots to kill, pretty similar to most of the other heavy tanks that we've seen so far at close range. So here is the new IS-2 VET1 ability, Fragmentation Shell, 45 munitions. It's this 5-man, reasonably spread out squad. It's a wild load. Big explosion, nice looking projectile, but not super impressive in terms of wiping potential. Does about half the squad's health, knocked off one model there. And now the new IS-2 VET1 ability against a vehicle. See how long the stun lasts. Maybe 2.5 seconds, I would say. Maybe like the same amount as a tulip rocket, if I had to guess. There we go, that's a look at the new Fragmentation Shell against vehicles. Partisans don't see that much play these days. Quite expensive to reinforce after you call them in, so quite effective as like a shock unit called in behind enemy lines. You may be decoying team weapons or stuff like that, but after that, really not pulling their weight. So a couple changes to help them scale better. So their sight is going up, so it should help you position more effectively. Maybe set up your ambushes more effectively as well. Capture and decapture rate going from 1 to 1.25, so a bonus to their capture speed, so should make them more effective at, you know, going for behind enemy lines, cut-offs and whatnot. 50% first strike accuracy modifier at VET2, so you know, coming out of camouflage, they'll do more damage, so more effective as an ambush unit. And VET1 now gives a concussive trap ability that can be planted on captured territory points. 50 munitions, temporarily stuns an enemy squad that enters the capture circle. So once again, more effective as an ambush squad. A few changes to Partisans. Not really in terms of raw combat strength, more in the utility department. So now we're taking a look at the concussive trap ability, the new v1 for Partisans, see how long it takes to plant and whatnot. Pretty long plant time on this. Was that maybe like 10, 15 seconds? Pretty long plant time. What happens when a squad runs into it now?
We are losing supplies to the enemy.
So maybe about the effect of having a stun grenade thrown on the squad. Squad unable to move. Takes minor damage. So there is the new v1 Partisan ability, the concussive trap. So now we're going to see how well Partisans can do with the new Vet2 ambush bonus against this squad of STG Volksgrenadiers. So both these squads fully vetted. Partisans on hold fire, got to spring the ambush. The ambush bonus activates.
A squad of infantry has been killed. Death before retreat.
Okay, still ends up losing to the Volksgrenadiers there. I think we're going to run that one back. It looked like in the previous test that the Partisans were shooting at the furthest away model, so maybe that skewed the results slightly. So we're going to try this test one more time. So this time, you know, the Volksgrenadiers didn't quite stop and fire as early, and the Partisans handily beat them. So there, maybe just bad RNG and a little bit of bad targeting in that last engagement. Partisan tank hunters also receiving some changes. Their reinforcement cost, currently sky high at 33, is going down to 26, and their reinforcement time is also going down from 7 to 5. So this should make Partisan tank hunters a lot more attractive to use. KV2 getting locked behind tech, 10 CPs, requires tier 4. And the defensive commander also receiving some changes. Very underutilized, this commander, or maybe not underutilized because it's not very good. So tank traps are being merged with the kind of S-mines like ability it has. And then anti-tank overwatch is being added to this commander. So making this commander a lot more attractive to use. A couple more changes. Version 1.1 already released to USF and the riflemen. So their near range is going from 3 to 6. So this means close to mid-range they're going to be doing quite a lot more damage. So it should really help them in those close-range firefights against Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers, whilst not really boosting their long-range damage at all. And rear echelon troops are also receiving some changes. Damage is going from 10 to 8. So they're going to be kind of like less effective against things like the Kubelwagen, but the accuracy is going up. So more consistent, kind of similar to changes that conscripts received in the past, just more consistent in their damage. A special thank you goes out to my Patreon backers who make the production of these long form videos possible.